Welcome to the Native Youth 2020 Virtual Summit. And now, here's Kasey Nicholson.
Well, hey, Panita and Anissa, what's not get Kasey Nicholson, Sin, Ninana, Ni, Pekani, Apsalaga, Cree, Arapaho, Alaska Native. Yeah, I said that once at a comedy show. And this white guy, he stood up, he said, hey, buddy, what are you supposed to be? Don't be speaking that Spanish around here. I'm like, what? That's not Spanish, you know? Well, don't be speaking that Asian around here. I'm like, that's not Asian, you know? He's like, well, whatever you're speaking, quit speaking that. So I told him, I said, I'm Native American, I'm American Indian, I'm indigenous, I'm the first people of this country, so welcome to my land. He said, well, prove it. I said, what? Prove it, he said. And I'm like, he said, I know some of you guys got those cards that show that you're Indian. Show me your card. And I'm like, I don't have my card on me. How am I going to prove to you? He said, well, you better prove it or else I'm not going to believe you. So usually I wouldn't care about what he said, but this time I said, you know what? I'm going to prove to you that I'm Indian. So I went backstage. I went and grabbed my horse, this big warrior horse, you know, and he had feathers in its hair and he had paint all over the horse's body. And I said, does this look like it's Indian to you? And he's like, no. And I said, all right, hold on. I said, so I got back and I got on the horse, you know, and as I got on the horse, you know, and I war cried, all my clothes just ripped off and I was left there with my buckskin thong, you know. I was like, hey, and he's like, what are you trying to do? And I'm like, hey, you told me you want me to prove to you that I'm Indian, so I'm proving to you that I'm Indian. I said, hold on to your woman. He's like, don't be trying any funny business, right? And I said, hey, relax. You want me to prove to you, so I'm going to prove to you. So I started unbraiding my hair, unbraiding my hair and letting it out. And it was blowing in the wind. And there was no wind. That's how Indian I was, you know, at that time. There was an eagle that I rented that was flying over my head. And then all of a sudden, he's really getting scared, you know. What are you trying to do? And I said, you wanted me to prove to you that I'm Indian. I really war cried. And all of a sudden, his white woman just fell and fainted. You know. And I was like, pick her up. I'm not done, you know. He said, what are you doing? What are you doing? I said, you wanted me to prove to you that I'm Indian. So I'm proving to you. I said, hold on to her tight, because what's about to go down is going to be real spiritual. You're going to be seeing some dream catchers here pretty soon. Just as I was playing that, she started floating. Hey, this woman started floating to me. I looked at her. I said, oh, you're just ugly. Get out of here. I threw her back over to her man. I was like, I don't want you. But then I remembered. I said, he wanted me to prove to him that I'm Indian. So I was like, So my chiseled body, my bronze body, and my hair blowing in the wind, and my eagle flying over me, and the horse standing by me, the flute in my pocket. I looked back at them and I said, hey, give me that white lady. So that white lady came back into my arms. I looked back at that man who wanted me to prove to him that I was Indian. I said, hey, they don't call me many wives for nothing. And I walked off into the sunset with this woman. Hey, jokes. That's just a little jokey joke that I want to share with you guys. Yes, my name is Kasey Nicholson, and I am a comedian and a motivational speaker. I go all over the country, all over North America, and provide laughs throughout Indian country and in comedy venues such as I went to LA. I performed at the Laugh Factory. I performed at the Comedy Store. I performed at the Ice House. I've won comedy competitions. So I do a lot of these things to bring laughter to, and obviously we know laughter is medicine. I bring a lot of this to Indian country and throughout to all the human race is what I really do. And laughter is so positive, it's so great, it's what we sometimes forget to do, in today's society, today's age. We often forget to laugh, even at the most serious times we laugh. You ever think about that? I don't know if you guys ever went to church and you're a kid and you're sitting there and you start laughing in church, and there's nothing funny, but you're just laughing and you can't stop laughing because maybe your energy feels good or something to you. You just can't stop laughing. You're just like, knock it off, quit laughing, but you can't stop it. That's just who you are, and that's what you're laughing. It's healing. It's very beneficial to our psyche and our aura. And I think a lot of us don't understand how beneficial it can be to our mental health, the humor, the laughter, the positive feelings that come through laughter. Some of you guys might not know that laughter really decreases anxiety, decreases depression, increases serotonin in your body, makes you feel good. Increases all those endorphins that make you feel good as well. Laughter really breaks down barriers. I'll tell you a story about a barrier, and I had a hard time trying to get over this thing, obvious stage fright and stuff like that too. But I was in Idaho Falls, Idaho. And I'm sitting there and I'm about to open up for this pretty big comedian. His name is Sean McBride. I was about to open up for this big comedian. He's been to LA. He's been all over the country. So I'm kind of nervous about trying to open up for him. Well, as I'm being nervous and the first comedian's going, he's not doing too well. He's kind of bombing. So the first comedian is supposed to warm up the crowd, try to get them going. And so I'm going to be featuring, I'll be opening up for the big comedian. So I need to get the laughters kind of going. But the first comedian is just not doing too good at all. And lo and behold, there's these tall biker guys, and they come in and their heads are shaved. They have tattoos on their heads, and they have leather jackets and tattoos all over their arms, and and they come in and they sit right down in the front row. And to me, as a native, I don't know if you guys know, but Idaho, as a stereotypical state, as being a racist state or a red state, or there's freemen there, there's racism there, there's racism all over, but Idaho for us is just like, so you see these guys, you're like, oh man, right in a front row, like what am I gonna do, so now I'm getting anxious, I'm getting nervous, I'm getting a little fearful, because I not only of these men that are gonna be sitting there right in front of me, because I'm up in a couple minutes, but also just me being a native, and me being comedian, being a vulnerable, me gonna throw some res jokes at them, I don't know if they're gonna laugh, and I don't know what's gonna happen, and so I'm really nervous, and so I get up there, ladies and gentlemen, Kasey Nicholson. So I go up to the stage, and there I am, I'm there, I'm ready, and I don't know what to think, so I start telling my jokes, telling all these jokes that I have, these 5-10 minute worth of jokes, and I get through there, and I'm not really paying attention to them, because at that bar that we were at, it was just like this cloud, this layer of smoke. So I was just really trying to pay attention to the back of the bar. I was just telling jokes. There was laughter, but I didn't know where the laughter was coming from. And these non-natives, these white people, it was a majority white crowd, was laughing at this native guy, me laughing at my jokes. And as I'm sitting there, or as I'm standing there and I'm telling these jokes, I get, okay, thank you so much. And I get off, and I look back and, and those bikers there, and I'm just like, oh my God, okay, hopefully I didn't offend them. Hopefully I didn't, do anything to cause them to, start some trouble, and because as a native, hey, I'm ready. Like, if you want to go, we'll go, So after the whole show got over, the main comic got up there, he did it. And then I was sitting over there with my buddy, and there's this hallway, and they have to come to exit. They have to come down that hallway. And I'm sitting there, I'm talking to my buddy, hey man, what's going on? All of a sudden, these guys come, and they look up, and they all get together, and they point at me. And that one guy looks up, and he's like, yeah, him. And I'm like, oh man, I don't know what to think, anxious, anxiety, what's going on? Oh my, I'm gonna have to fight here, what's going on? I ain't going outside by myself, so I'm sticking here and I'm ready. I put my foot back and I kind of go into a stance, I'm ready for you, kind of thing. And this guy comes up to me and he's like, he's not smiling, he's just like, coming to me, I'm just like, oh my God, what's gonna go on? I don't know what's gonna go on. And all of a sudden he's like, Dude, you were so funny, man. You were so hilarious. That's the first native I've ever seen that I laughed at, man. You were so funny. And I was like, oh, thank God. I was like, oh my God, I thought we were going to have to fight. I didn't know what was going to happen. He's like, no, man, you were so funny, man. You were so awesome, man. Where are you from? And we got to talking and stuff. And they were really cool guys. Now I don't know exactly who they are or what they were about, but at that time, at that moment, there were barriers broken, through laughter. We could have probably looked at each other if it wasn't through comedy, just laughing at each other and judging each other. Maybe they judged me on stage. I was judging them when they were sitting below the stage or when they were coming in. So there was already that stereotypical poor mental health, poor thinking attitude already going. But through laughter, through humor, I was able to break down a barrier that might have never ever been broken down if it wasn't through laughter. So that's an example of breaking down barriers. Another example of how humor is so good for the mental health. I always think about, a lot of comedians, we will do jokes about our traumas, and if you guys don't know, what traumas are things that happen to you that are really that impact you in a negative way. You could be probably, abused, sexually abused, physically abused. You could be told you're stupid. You could have intergenerational trauma where your grandparents teach your parents and your parents are teaching you some negative trauma. They're passing down the trauma from generation to generation. So you're picking up on all this trauma that you're experiencing and you don't know how to deal with it. Well, as a comedian, I've experienced some trauma in my life, and one of them would be, my mom spanking me. That was very traumatic, and I don't know how many of you guys went through that experience of you getting spanked, or whipped, by your mom, your dad, your grandma. I don't know. Whoever whipped you is traumatic to any kid, and for me, it was traumatic. Like, I didn't exactly know how to take it. I just knew that I was getting whipped for something I didn't understand how to correct. I was just like, don't you ever do that again, and she comes in and she whipped me with her thong, right? And no, not that kind of thong. You're get your mind out of the gutters. It's not like my mom whipped her thong out of her butt and said, get over here, and whipped it back and went, and all you hear is like, no, it's like, why is it heavy on one side as you're running? No. And all of a sudden you try to duck and hit you in your face. Why'd you have to wear the white ones? And they're like, and you go to school the next day and people are looking at you, your friends are looking at you and they're asking you, hey man, you high in one eye? And you're like, no man, it's pink eye. It's not that kind of thong, right? It's not that kind of thong at all. It's the kind of thong that they're called flip-flops. They go between your toe, and when you walk, they flip-flop. And everything's good in the house when you hear flip-flop, flip-flop, flip-flop. And but things are about to go down when you hear flip, flip, flip. Kasey! Flip, and then she's coming, she opens the door, she's, get over here, and you're like, what did I do? She grabs you by one arm, you bring your knees up, you're dead weight, she kind of swing at you, and you're like, she comes back, and you missed again. All of a sudden, she gets you, right? And boom, and you're like, ugh, and all the air goes out of you, right? And she, don't you ever do that again. And you're sitting there, you're trying to catch your breath. And your brain is telling you, hey man, just cry, just scream, you'll feel so much better. But if you scream too loud, she's going to come back and whip you again. So you're just trying to, and all of a sudden you just have to let it out. And as you're crying, your first war cry, your first battle song comes through, right? And you're just crying, and after you let all of that air out, then you take another gasp, right? And then this starts, and this is when your mom comes in, right? This is when your mom comes in because she knows you cannot answer questions. She comes in, and you're like, she comes in, that's when she comes in, she starts trying to ask you questions. What's wrong with you? Speak English. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You better knock her off, or I'll give you something else to cry about. And then you pass out, right? That's just another part of my joke. That's another part of my joke. Kind of shortened it up a little bit, but that's an experience of how I made fun, or how I was making fun of my trauma. To me, being spanked as an only child, being whipped by a thong, a flip-flop, was traumatic. At the time as a kid, you didn't really think of it as trauma, but as you got older, you started realizing, hey man, I really didn't understand what I was doing wrong for you to spank me so hard. Like, maybe explain to me, then once I understood, then spank me? I don't know. But I just didn't get that sometimes. So as a traumatic experience, I made fun of that. And that was one of the first jokes I've ever said when I first got on stage. That was one of the very first jokes I ever did. Not realizing I was expressing trauma. I was expressing the state of my mental health and my well-being through laughter, through jokes. And I didn't really understand that until I started seeing how my jokes were developing, what things are funny, like another traumatic experience. Maybe a lot of you young people, or the other older people that are watching this, what you might have experienced is when you fall. And when you fall, you skid your knee or you fall and people laugh at you, right? Yo, dude, you okay? You okay? It's never like, oh my God, are you okay? Are you sure you're safe? Oh my gosh, smudge him off. Hurry up. Come smudge him off. Oh my gosh. Someone get a granny, call the ambulance. Somebody yell for help, like no one does that. When you fall and skid your knee or turn your ankle, they laugh at you first. And then they ask you for help while they laugh at you, and again, that helps reduce pain. Again, it brings up the endorphins when you start laughing. As a trauma, I would always laugh. How would I deal with the trauma experiences in my life? Seeing my young brother or my young cousin, which I called him brother, get whipped. Seeing him get whipped, I would laugh. I'm like, then my uncle would be like, you want to get whipped too? And you're like, no. I mean, that's just how a lot of us deal with trauma, is through laughter. And I think that's how I did a lot of it. Being an only child, I think that's how I did a lot of things in my life, was through laughter, and it's so beneficial, it's so healing. And a lot of people don't understand, like if you're having a hard time in life, what can you do? What can you do to get through that anxiety, that depression, that worry, that anger, that hurt, that fear, that resentment? Go watch something that's funny. Go hear, go listen, go write, go whatever you needed to go. Watch funny videos, because it's going to release some endorphins in your brain. And you're able to think a little bit more clearly, You're able to break down some barriers. You're able to break down some of that grief you might be holding inside you. Will you ever laugh so hard you cry? Like you cry. Like some people actually cry when they laugh. There's like... I'm crying. Oh my God, I'm crying. Exactly. Maybe there's something deep down inside them that they have to release some tears. Maybe there's something that they didn't realize. And you always hear, like a lot of my comedy shows, and any comedian gets these compliments, I have not laughed that hard in years. I literally had tears in my eyes watching your comedy. And that is like an ultimate compliment, because it means you're healing. They're healing. Something has connected from my humor to your inside your heart or inside your soul, making you release, making you heal. And that's just like the ultimate compliment. So again, laughter is healing. It's so good for your mental health. Again, it creates endorphins, releases anxiety. I wish I could present more and more and more to you guys, and maybe later on in the future I could present more about laughter is healing and more like scientific stuff. But I just wanted to give you kind of a general understanding of how important laughter and humor is so good for the mental health. We as people, we need to laugh more. It's part of our ways. It's part of our culture. We have some of us has teasing clans, to humble people, to get them kind of like, hey man, you gotta chill, get off your high horse, get off your soapbox, but those kind of things, we have to think about. And the next thing I kind of wanted to talk to you guys about is just healthy choices. We have a lot of stimulus coming at us. We have drugs, we have alcohol, we have friends that want to do things that are not very healthy for us. And if there's anything I can provide you guys, is this acronym that I always use, and I just recently added to it. Excuse me. And I just recently added to it, and it was used to be called move. You need to move is kind of what I was saying, but now I'm changing it to, are you moved? Are you moved by the things that are shown to you? Are you moved within your life? Are you moved by your life? Are you moved by your choices that you make in life? Because there's healthy choices and there's poor choices. And it's okay if you fail. That's fine. If you fail, that's fine. I mean, part of growing up is failure, and that's okay. But what we have to really understand and realize is that when we fail, that gives us a chance to improve, to learn from our mistakes, and to get better in our life. So when I say, have we moved, or are you moved, I have to think about M. M is for motivation. You have to be motivated in life, something. Now, motivation is not to be long term. It's just that spark, something motivates you. Maybe you watch Rocky Balboa, boxing, that's a little old school, or you watch Usain Bolt, or you watch Kobe Bryant, or you watch LeBron James, or you watch Kyrie Irving, or you watch some football player, or you watch some writer or actor, and you look at him, you're like, I want to do that. That's motivation. Boom. There's that spark. Something's turning inside your brain, like, I'm interested. That's what I like. That's what I want to do. This is something I think I can do. This is something I should do. That's motivation. It's just as temporary. Motivation is just temporary. So are you motivated to do something? Lose weight, motivated to get stronger, to jump higher, to read more, to get your grade, to improve your grades, to become a comedian, to become whatever you want to become, a better son, daughter, whatever it may be. Are you motivated? If you're motivated, the next step, you can go to the next step. Okay, yeah, I am motivated. What's the next step? You need to be open. M-O. You need to be open to the possibilities that are coming in your life. Now, O is for open. You got to be open to failure. You got to be open to success. I know a lot of our people we will sabotage our own success because we're not open to what comes with that. Maybe fame or more hard work or more studying or whatever. More time. All those things. Are you open to giving to all these things that you want in life? If you're open to that, then you can move to the next stage. So as long as you're open to that success and open to the failures in life, you can move on to the next one, because the next one is MOV. You have to vision yourself. You have to see yourself moving forward. You have to see yourself as a successful person, not necessarily seeing yourself fail, but when you fail, you have to see yourself getting back up. You have to envision yourself seeing that person. Like if you want to dunk a ball, you have to see yourself dunking that ball. If you want to see yourself being on a big screen, you have to see yourself being on a big screen. If you want to be a comedian, you want to tell jokes to hundreds of thousands of people, you have to see yourself on that stage. If you want to have better grades and you want to have better relationships, you have to see that. You have to envision that for yourself so that it can manifest or become what you see. So I really encourage you to just imagine, get a vision board, make a vision board and just write a bunch of words, cut out a bunch of pictures and put it on a poster board, hang it up above on your ceiling and say, one day this is going to be me. That's going to be me. One day it's going to be, I see me. This is who I am. This is who I am. Okay. So, simple. Once you get to the vision part, then you can start evolving into that human being you want it to be, right? You can start evolving into that person you want to be. MOVE. You have to start developing. You have to start molding yourself. Have to start evolving. You have to evolve past your being like your brother, past being like your sister, past being like your brother, your aunties, your uncles, your grandmas, your grandpas. You have to be you. You have to move into the direction that you want to go, not where anybody else wants you to go, but where you want to go in life. And how do you get there? You have to move. You have to move into that direction. Okay. And you have to get to that evolution stage where, like, I'm evolving into a good man. I'm evolving into a good woman. I'm evolving into a successful person. Through all the hard work, through all the things that I've been through, I'm able to persevere. Even though I fall, I'm able to still get back up and still make healthy choices to continue my strive to success. Okay. And now all the drugs and alcohol and poor attitude and blaming and lateral violence and lateral oppression, all these things, those are poor choices. Those are not going to get you to the dreams and the goals and ambitions that you really ultimately want to get to. Those are going to hold you down, crabs in a bucket per se, You can literally hold yourself down from succeeding because of fear, because of resentment, because of jealousy, because of anger. All these things we need to learn how to cope and have strategies for, so that we can get past those and continue to move forward. I'm not saying that it's that easy. It's easier to say than it is to do, but we need to try our best to get past that point of holding each other down, holding ourselves down, so that we can excel and evolve into being a human being that we want to be. Last one, like I said, I've changed it from moved to moved. Are you moved? The last one is a D. Now, D is for discipline. That's probably one of the most important things is D. You have to be disciplined. You have to be disciplined. You have to understand that in order to get from point A to point B in your goals, you have to discipline yourself in that journey, I guess you'd say. So if you want to become faster, you want to become smarter, you want to become if you want to learn your language, if you want to learn your traditions and culture, if you want to become a comedian or an actor, you have to put in that time. You have to get up and write your jokes. You have to read your lines. You have to get up in the morning and go run that 3, 4, 5 miles in the morning, and then run the 3, 4, 5 miles at night. If you want to lose weight, you have to be disciplined. You have to drink your water. You have to eat your fruits and vegetables. You have to eat quality protein. You have to eat quality food, and you got to say no. You got to say no to all the sugars and the fat, all the unhealthy fats. You just have to. And that's just part of that discipline that you're setting up for yourself. Because if you get disciplined now, it's easier to be disciplined later on in life. So that's just a little heads up in terms of having healthy choices, because that's what we really ultimately need in life, is to have healthy choices. And we like I said before, we're so bombarded with everything in life that we don't understand that, our traumatic experiences that we have in our life, those are the traumas that we feed ourselves, and we continue to feed ourselves because that's all we know. And we can't blame anybody for doing what they do, because sometimes that's all they know. You only know what you know. That's it. But being moved, you have to be motivated. You have to be open. You have to have vision. You have to evolve, and you have to have discipline. And you have to go out and you have to seek that knowledge. You have to want that knowledge. You have to just go out there and do it. Don't let anybody else hold you back. If there's anything that's I can tell to anybody, is like, I've seen kids, just continue to go spiral down. And there's people that were trying to hold out their hands, and a person just didn't know how to reach up and hold on. Even though a lot of people are having their hands down, like, come on, just grab it. We got you. Just come with me. But the kid was too fearful, too scared, too used to the system that he was in, that he didn't grab it. So, we have to think about those things as well. So, I'm going to wrap it up here and let you guys know that each and every one of you are important. Each and every one of you needs to take initiative in your own life, in your own journey, whether it be school, sports, professional, whatever it may be. You need to take that initiative and have that respect for yourself and your people around you to say, you know what, I can do this. Because at the end of the day, if you think about it, all our grandmas and grandpas back in the days, they sacrificed so much for us to be here today. Whether they walked 100 miles, whether they sacrificed themselves, said, all right, you know what? All right, go ahead and hang me. Go ahead, you know what? Go ahead and shoot me. This is for my people. Just leave my family alone. And through their sacrifice, or whatever may have been that they sacrificed, we are here still today. And I think we owe it to our grandfathers and grandmothers from the past to say, you know what? I'm going to be better. I'm going to be greater than what I am, than what I was yesterday. I owe it to you. I owe all those sacrifices that you sacrificed for me. I want to be the best I can be, because you know what? I don't think our grandfathers or grandmothers ever died thinking, I think I'm going to die because I want them to be meth addicts. I'm going to die because I want them to be dependent and not thrive and make something of themselves, I don't think they said that, I'm like, this is for my people, and whatever they chose. But I think we owe it to them to really understand that, to do what we need to do to become a better people, as a community. But it starts with ourselves, laugh more, be good to one another, help each other, make healthy choices. I wish and thank you for your time. I hope you're having a great summer. Maybe this is hard for you to sit through, but again, thank you so much. And I appreciate each and every one of you. I'll show you a song that I snagged my wife with. Hey, no, but yeah, thank you guys so much. You guys are awesome. Thanks, guys. You guys have a good one. Appreciate you guys, each and every one of you.
Next up is Brian Frejo.
Noah, Video Duda. Hey, just want to say hello. It's good to be here. My name is Brian Frejo, from the Skeety Band of the Pawnee Nation. That's the wolf band of the Pawnee people. And from the Nookazogi of the Seminole Nation of Oklahoma. It's the Bear Clan. And born and raised in Southern Plains, Oklahoma. Glad to be here today. It's great to see this event put together by all of these programs for our Native youth. And this is the first virtual Native Youth Summit. So I'm really honored and glad to be here today. So I'd like to start just sharing a few things with you guys before this presentation and welcome you all here. And in our language, we say, Dudahe. That means I feel really good right here in my chest, my heart, throat, where I breathe. Our breath of life comes from, and how we breathe, how we talk, how we express ourselves, how we sing, all of those parts of our life and where that breath of life comes from, that I feel good right there. That's what that means. So I just wanted to share that in my introduction. It's really amazing time that we're living in as we all kind of transition to everything that's happening. And I'm just thankful that the tribes put this together for our Native American youth, and that we continue to do this work and do this outreach that we have for all of our communities across Indian countries. So this one being part of the Oklahoma tribes and these organizations in the southern Oklahoma area. So first I want to start out, I'm going to share something with you guys before we start this presentation, and that, all these messages that all your speakers and presenters have today are for our young people, for our youth, for our communities. And I want to start this out with using my language there in the beginning, and then using this medicine here. I'm going to burn some of this sacred cedar right here, and put this medicine out for everyone here at this time. And we use this cedar like this. I'm going to share it with you here. Send it to you wherever you're at, whatever community you're at, wherever your home is. We use these different medicines to help us out. So I want to share that in this Ritakat here, Hitu, this eagle feather, how we use these different medicines and these different sacred parts of our culture here, these eagle feathers and what they mean, and that they're passed down from our ancestors, generations and generations, that we can continue these ways, we can continue to share these messages and these stories, for our generation right now and the future generations to come. So I wanted to share that with you. And that cedar is that holy evergreen that they call it. If you go to ceremonies or you've been around it, or you're curious and you have questions, that's what this is for, so we can share those messages, share these teachings with each other. And that cedar has got a strong smell, strong medicine. It helps clear things out, can bless our home, bless our car, bless ourselves. And it's got a strong smell, strong aroma, scent, that when we breathe it in, it hits our body, hits our spirit, kind of lift us up, because that strong smell, whether it's round cedar, flat cedar, whatever kind that you use, or both, that it'll lift us up, make us give us that extra lift our spirit up, give us that little extra energy that we need, for whatever's happening, whatever we're going through. So I just wanted to share that with you in the opening. And this message today, what we're talking about, a lot of these topics that are part of this virtual summit, are really important. So I'm just glad, like I said, to be one of the presenters, be here today. And we're doing things virtually, and we're finding new ways to reach out to our communities and our young people. So I'm going to go right into it. And if anybody have any questions, if you're familiar with Zoom, down at the bottom, you'll see there's different things you can do. You can hit this right here. You can hit this. If you hear something you like that resonates, you can hit that clap. If you hear something from one of the speakers or a story or message, you can give this thumbs up right here. It's down in the bottom of your screen, depending on what we're using here. But this is what I'm using right now. So if you do get on this platform, this is how it works. And then there's a chat too, where you can ask any questions or give any input. So I'm going to go into this presentation. You see we're all working remotely, virtually in different areas. I'm coming to you guys originally from Oklahoma, South Oklahoma, South Side, Moore, Tornado Alley, but now relocated to Orange County, SoCal, California. So see my hat over here. Come on, SoCal, LA, Orange County. Spent a lot of time out here. I lived here in the 90s too. So in 90 to late 90s, and then came back to Oklahoma and kind of traveled around, lived in some different areas. So I'm going to go into the presentation right now. We're using this technology and we are making it happen for ourselves. So I'm going to go into this first part of the presentation. And you probably saw the name of this on your agenda for this first Native Youth Virtual Native Youth Summit. And the title of this is to Be a Leader of Change, Laughing Spirits, Overcoming the Spirit of Alcohol and Drugs. So I want to share this with you guys. I hope you can see it on the screen. I'm pretty sure you can. But, and then changing our historical narrative for the next 7 generations. And think about that for a second. Why are we here? Why do we have this virtual youth summit? What's the reason? What's the purpose? There's a lot of reasons. There's a lot of planning that goes into this, a lot of strategic planning and organizing and meetings that we wanted to put something together for our Native youth. Wherever you're at, wherever you're living right now. And a lot of people have been locked down, quarantined, stay at home and all these different safety measures that we have. But there's a reason for it. And we want to keep the numbers down. We want to keep the positive tests, people getting sick, all the results of this pandemic down to minimum numbers as much as we can. So that's what, we're doing here. And that's what this message is, coming, using this virtual platform. So this is what I wanted to start out with, this changing our historical narrative for the next 7 generations. And what does that mean? So I'm going to go to this first slide. And so you guys can see it. Move this a little bit. Okay, so right here you can see the photo. I like to participate in our traditional teachings, our ceremonial ways. So this is a project right here of us building a sweat lodge, and a project up in Wisconsin this last couple of years. Brought the community together, and there's a reason we were putting this sweat lodge, because there was a large number of the community that was coming to the ceremony, so we had to make it bigger. And that's what this is. And so when we talk about these different topics, they're important messages, and there's some deep history and knowledge that goes along with it. So sharing that today, this ceremony is a part of this message. So I just want to start with, understanding the truth. And in our language, we say, we're addressing substance abuse, drugs, alcohol, doesn't mix with our culture, with our traditional way of life. And so understanding the truth, in our language, we say, kirakata. Kirakata, you guys can see it right there. That's a Pawnee language, Pawnee Pakuru. That's a Pawnee language, the language we speak, and on my dad's side. And that means, that word, kirakata, means spirits. It's a word for spirits or yellow water, or alcoholic beverage. That's how it was translated. And at that time, back with our ancestors, it was a time when there was rum, the alcohol, the liquor was rum, brandy, whiskey, beer. And really all of these, these spirits is the origin of them, because they all came from a plant that was alive, that had a spirit. And so really our medicine, the true purpose of our Haliswa, that's in the Seminole language, I'll go back and forth between Pawnee and Seminole, is that Haliswa is medicine. That's our medicine that we use, medicine that helps us, medicine that takes care of us. So the true purpose of our Haliswa is to help us live. And that's what I was told. That's how I was raised, how I was brought up. So sharing this, talking about substance abuse, drugs and alcohol in our language the same way. And there's a book that I found that was real interesting, that I was doing research, studying kind of the history of it, where it came from. How did it come across our people? There's a lot of research and a lot of information you can find. So this is called Deadly Medicine, and this book, and I just, since this is addressing substance use, substance abuse, alcohol and drugs, in our language we say kakurahe. And kakurahe means this is no good. It is no good. And so in this book, this one was about kind of the beginning of alcohol being introduced to our people, or early America. So this had some great research information. So the origins have significant importance in finding understanding and meaning throughout our life. And questions we have, and that's what I put on here: the what's, why's, who's, where's, when's. Some of these questions that we have and that we have to ask sometimes when we want to know. You ask a question, or you go find out, you research it, you get educated, educate yourself. And then from your own experiences, you can educate yourself from what you see around you in your family, in your community, your friends, incidents that you've been in. You'll see the effects of these drugs and alcohol all around us. And that's another way that we can learn. So the next slide, talking about our spirituality and alcohol and drugs, and just kind of, doing more research, getting down to, like the words and, where did these things come from? So what I found was in research and origin, connection of spirit and alcohol, substances, drugs as well. The etymology of the word, the origin of the word alcohol comes from the Arabic word alkul, or it means a body-eating spirit, or it could say alcohol, and you see it right there, alcohol, and it means the translation. It means it's like an ogre, a ghoul, a goblin, referring to that alcohol. And it's also the English root word of ghoul. Like if you guys tell scary stories, or people tell some weird, strange story of something they saw or something they heard, or somebody told them a story of something they seen around, people partying, drugs, you see some dark things. And so this is where that word comes from. And you may have experiences yourself, and that's the origin of this word, so that we understand it. So also with the substance abuse, the drugs, marijuana, opium, opiates, heroin, morphine, that's created from the resin of poppy plants. And it's also from a plant, just like the alcohol. They all come from some kind of plant, hops. The rum that was grown too, originally in the West Indies, when they first started making the liquor rum. And so, they were all from living plants that were alive. Had a spirit, living spirit at one time. So, these drugs are highly addictive and illegal. If you're, depending on where you live and what kind of drugs they are, or if you're underage, they're illegal, a lot of them. So then you heard this opioid crisis, and that leads to some other drugs. These same opiates, lead to other drugs, fentanyl, OxyContin, Vicodin, codeine, that we see. Some of these come in prescriptions, and they're, pain relievers. People use them for different reasons, but, they're very addictive. And so that's what caused that whole opioid crisis. So coming, into the history of this message and these words, if we've ever been affected by alcohol or drugs in our family, it goes way back. It goes back to it being introduced to our people a long time ago. back by the Europeans and people that were coming into our communities, expansion into our communities, and how our people were constantly moving, trying to find our own space. This is one picture. I believe in imagery and art, tells a story. So this is from a guy, Jean Bossu. He was a French traveler in the Mississippi Valley, Illinois area. In a publication, he was writing journals, travel publication, 1771. So his quote was that the white people have taught them, Indians, to drink the fiery water, brandy. So if you guys ever heard of fire water, people might use that term or joke around about it, but it's an old term back from 1771, apparently. And they called it the fiery water, or fire water was a reference. What it translated to by some of the natives was the urine of the chief of hell, the evil spirit in the water. This kind of was how they referred to this this brandy or this liquor that was given to our native people. And you see in the illustration here, there's a lot of imagery here. We see this an Indian man, his woman, here wife, maybe his child, and this is from 1858. And so this kind of evil looking guy right here, the rum and the whiskey, fire water here, and then this other Indian over here being attacked by, looks like a devil or a demon or something. They were already drawing this imagery that long ago. So there was obviously, they knew what was going on and what was happening. Now here we are, 2020. And so we look around, where we live, we might see a liquor store, beer store, people get liquor and alcohol, and we'll see these imagery around us, and sometimes they put it right in front of our face. Liquor store, here, a sign, you see it, wherever this is, Tierra Verde, liquors, beer, wine, spirits, and sometimes we'll see that word spirits there, and that is referring back, to the liquor, and this liquor, where it came from, where it originated from. And like I said, it was considered a spirit when people drank it, when they used it, when they abused it, and they created alcoholism and created decimation to our native communities, our native people. And so they'll put it right there on the sign for you to look at, beer, wine, spirits. But a lot of people don't think about it. They'll just say, oh, that's drinks. No, it goes back to where it originally came from. That is spirits that you're putting into your body, and then when you start to abuse it, it can alter your whole life, your whole journey. So it's kind of put it right in your face. So kind of make a mockery of what you don't know, what you don't think about, what you don't look into, in your life. And when you see what's all around us, what's happening around us, that we can educate ourselves, can start to understand what's really going on, and then how we can change it. So this slide, talking about the effects of alcohol and drugs. So in the 21st century, I'm going to try to go through this a little bit quicker because I only have so much time. But this is just kind of a little bit of history and knowledge on the origins of these things, of these issues that we have in our community. So alcohol in the 21st century is death 4 times higher than the general population. Disease or trauma, treatment, 70% among American Indian, Alaska Native. Abuse in our communities, our families, our homes, physical, mental, predisposing conditions. It means we're around it. We experience it in our family. Some people refer to as intergenerational trauma, or going way deeper back to 1700s to 1600s, calling it historical trauma that we're still having today. FAS, defects having long-term implications in future health. Our kids, some kids having physical defects and mental defects, when they're born. Homicides, suicide, so that's suicidality, accidental death, injury, 90% more than other communities. Alcohol, fatal injuries in Oklahoma. That's from the American Indian Quarterly. I can't remember what year that was, but it was a while back. So the numbers could be, more or around that same area. And all of these lead to substance use and abuse. and high risk factors all around, are like the same, our community, our neighborhood, our town, city, reservation, wherever you live. So I just wanted to use some of these charts to give you a little background. So the challenges and disparities, where we struggle. In this analysis, it finds that Black and American Indian, Alaska Native individuals continue to fare worse than the white community, white individuals across most examined measures of health status, physical and mental health, birth risk, infant mortality, across the board, all of these, HIV, AIDS, death rates, chronic conditions, all of these. That's what this chart represents. And, it affects our kids, babies, infant mortality, for our people of color, our Native people here. It's 2 times higher than the rate for the white population. So this figure is just another one from the Kaiser Family Foundation. Number of measures for which groups fared better and which were same or worse in the white population. You see the African American 19 times worse, Hispanic 14, Asian 3 times worse, American Indian, Alaska Native 17, but I think that's gone up even from the time of this, and this is like 2017, 18. And then Native Hawaiian or Pacific Islander is at 8 times worse. So, there's numbers that are out there that are studied in epidemiology and these studies amongst our different communities and what they look like. So substance use disorder, SUD, talking about drugs and how this doesn't belong in our culture, traditional ways, creates a loss of culture and identity. And this is just a list of some different effects, right here, the physical warning sign, the behavioral warning, psychological. This is from IHS, Alcohol and Substance Abuse Program. It's called ASAP. So you see there's a different effects right here, just physical, bloodshot, changes appetite, sleep patterns, runny nose, weight loss, weight gain, tremors, slurred speech, that's behavioral, difficulties in relationships, suspicious, changing your lifestyle, behaviors, getting in trouble, fights, there's a lot of things that result from the alcohol and drug use. You may have experienced it and you see it, you may haven't seen it yet, and you'll know it when you do see it. But these are some of the, the signs that we see right here. And then going down, share this with you guys. And then what they call this, in mental health and behavioral health is, what causes all these high rates, high numbers is they're called the SDOH, and it's the social determinants of health. And I didn't really know a lot what it meant, but when I, kind of looked into it, and I understood it because we see it in a lot of our communities, our own families, Native populations and reservations. So it just says here, kind of breaks it down. Research shows that the social determinants of health, the conditions in which people are born, grow up, live, work, and age are primary drivers of health. All of those right there, all of those conditions that we live in. They include factors like socioeconomic status, education, neighborhood, physical environment, employment, social support networks, as well as access to health care. For example, children born to parents who have not completed high school are more likely to live in an environment that poses barriers to health, such as lack of safety, trash everywhere, exposed garbage, substandard housing. Not where we want to be. Maybe we want something better. Maybe we have bigger goals. We want something better for our communities. That's what this is talking about. And then how do we do that? How do we change it? So they're also less likely to have sidewalks, parks, playgrounds. They might be dangerous. It might be run down, vandalized, recreation centers, a library. Do we all have a library close to us? Further evidence shows that stress negatively affects health. All of this causes stress across our total lifespan, and then environmental factors may have multi-generational impacts. So that's from the Kaiser Family Foundation. Some good information to doing this research and explaining what it means we might all kind of look at this or see this and think, man, it looks like my neighborhood, looks like my town, looks like my reservation. Or maybe it doesn't look that bad. Maybe you're in a different area. Maybe you have some different opportunities, and that's good. You can continue to move in that direction. That's why I put how do we change it on here. And then how do we change it? Through leadership, advocacy, stepping up as young leaders, as leaders, wanting something better, wanting the different future, something better than we've seen in the past, and positive, healthy decision making for our next 7 generations. And that message of next 7 generations, each generation, we're thinking that far ahead, so that we're always thinking of our future, are the ones that are coming, down the road. What are we doing right now to change that future? And so we change it together, and we transform our future narrative now, meaning that we start to make those choices and decisions, and come together as a community, as a tribe, as a youth group, youth council, friends, your crew, whoever your cousins, whoever you hang out with, who you're with, your family, that we start to make those decisions to change this future, and that we create that future narrative. And that's what's important when I think about, and say, well, how do we change it? We hear that a lot. And then we have to sit down and start talking, brainstorming, how do we change it? So I always like to say, being active leadership, being active leaders, talking about community wellness. I think everyone wants that. We all want that right now during this COVID-19 pandemic. We want community wellness. So there's things that we have to do to create that. And then, support system, or we say extended family, our family, our friends, our cousins, our sweat lodge crew, our Native American church, our basketball team, whatever it is, your neighborhood community group, whoever the organization or the people that want something better is who I'm talking about, that we all do it together, not just one person, but we do it as extended family. We've been making changes for a long time. Our people have come a long way, but we have a ways to go too. But that's where our young people, our young leaders step up and start to be a part of that change too. And so that's what we're doing here today with this Native virtual youth conference right here, and that we can support and encourage that. And go down to this last slide. There. As people always ask, how do we do it? And like I said, we find a way, we do it together, we help each other do it. And so I put it on here in this last slide, took all of us to build this lodge here, for the community, for families, for our prayers, and that way of life, that we do it together. And it's Tatu Ariusta, Turachixtahu, that what I'm doing now, I want to be doing in the future, and that it's good and it makes me feel good. That's what that means. So choosing culture, education, wellness, and change for the future, and that we become cycle breakers. We become the ones that make those changes in our communities, in our family, in our own life. And a quote that I got from a book, really awesome book, and the author says, in some native languages, the terms for plants translates to those who take care of us. Braiding Sweetgrass. Robin Wall Kimmerer is the author. And then thinking in that same way, and people talk to me about it, and the true purpose of our Haliswa is to help us live, is to help us in our life. This smudge right here, this medicine, this cedar, all these medicines around, this sweetgrass here. These medicines are to help us, these instruments that we use, these sacred items right here, what they mean, how we take care of them, have respect for this, and then that they help us, all these prayers that come into these sacred items that we put up for ourselves, our family, our loved ones. So I wanted to share that with you guys today. I hope you guys have a good conference and that everything goes great. And I want to share one song as you guys continue your journey, and that you have many blessings and prayers to your family, and wherever you guys are, whatever you're doing, however you guys are keeping safe during this time of the COVID-19. So I want to share this song with you guys, and that when we talk about substance abuse, drugs, and alcohol, that we step up. We're not afraid to step up and be a leader, and to make those positive decisions, healthy decisions for ourselves and our community. I'm going to share this song with you guys. Hey yo, hey yo, hey yo, hey day, hey yo, hey da, yo, hey yo, hey da, yo, hey yo, hey da, hey yo, hey da, hey yo, hey. The body, the hey do, qu'est-ce qu'on a, chicks up our cakes, a day us that I want, hey do, hey, hey, yo, hey, yo, hey, day, hey, yo, hey, do, yo, hey, yo, hey, do, yo, hey, yo, hey, do, hey, yo, hey, do, hey, yo, hey. Body, hey, no, guess go down, chicks up our case. I think us, then I want, hey, oh. Oh. Noah Eddie, big thank you guys for listening. Duda, hey, Duda chicks to who? Like I said right here, Tatu Ariusta, Duda chicks to who. So I want to thank all of you, First Native Virtual Native Youth Conference. Glad to be on here today. Let me stop this real quick and say, keep doing what you're doing. You guys keep making positive decisions out there in your life and your community. We wish you the best. We want the best for you and our next 7th generation youth. That encourage all of you young leaders to keep stepping up and take that leadership role. And I'm glad I could be here today and be a part of this presentation. I want to say aho, Noah Itty, Muddo, big thank you.
Thank you for watching the Native Youth 2020 Virtual Summit. Please like our pages to stay informed on other Native topics and events. Stay tuned to the summit as there's more to come later today.